Okay, so I'm from Malaysia, born and raised in Malaysia, and I studied in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It is a 5-year doctor in medicine program, which is an undergrad program. For me, I'm very specific I have a very specific goal. I want to be in internal medicine and go into either endocrinology or nephrology. So that's why the US pathway just fits well.
And so when did you decide during med school that, hey, I want to pursue US MLE?
Actually, it started since like the end of my first year.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, it's kind of early. Yes, yes, yes. So just it kind of dawned on me that I want to pursue further in medicine, not just like practicing in your own country. I just want something more like I hope that I can go elsewhere far, maybe in some country. And US is a good place to learn and also just try to live on your own and experience others' culture and also their education, of course.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's why I started early. I plan on taking all these exams starting like second year, since second year of medical school. And then that's why I took a gap year to do research over Boston to kind of like, to get a feel of how it's like to be in America and yeah, to just try out to see if research is for me and whether or not this pathway is for me. So during that year in Boston, it kind of consolidated what I felt inside, and I just know that this is the right way that I want to go.
Nice. Fantastic. Very excellent. So that's like second year you took your step one. And then when did you take the step to CK?
Step 2 CK is somewhere in the mid of third year.
Third year. Wow, very nice. Okay. And then the research year, did you do that after graduation or kind of just before, graduating? Was
So
it?
it is after my second year.
Oh, wow, very nice.
Yeah, so the first 2 years in Malaysia, it is the theory part,
Yep.
and after the first 2 years, then I did a gap year for the research, and that's also when I took my first, the step one USMLE, and then I came back to Malaysia to continue another 3 years of clinical trainings,
Yeah.
clinical years, and then that's when I took my step to CS and then CK. Yeah.
Wow. Excellent. So how do you think, besides taking the USMLE, um, is it the research that really helped you match into residency, you think?
I think yes, a lot, because it is like a starting point.
Right.
So first so because of that experience and even after I came back to Malaysia, I continue working kind of remotely
Mhm.
with my professors and colleagues over there in Boston. So I kept the connection and I kept writing papers. So it's been years, like 3 to 4 years. That's why I got a time to really like publish journals to peer review publish articles to peer reviewed journals,
Very nice.
and it is because of all these, then I can apply for like NIH elective and got accepted. Actually, when I was there at NIH, yeah, they looked at my CV and then they said, oh, you have this, and that's why we really want to like have you in, and then so that you can learn more, and then yeah, that's how it all started. You have to start somewhere.
Right. Right. So the program, the research at Boston, was that like a research fellowship? Is that how you would call it?
It is like it is called pre-doctoral research It's a 1 year program over at the Brigham's and Women's.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you applied to that program, and then you got invited to kind of work in that program for a year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. What was the area of interest, or what was the area of research about?
It is endocrinology, and then my focus is on hypertension and also cardiovascular disease, and specifically targeting the renin-angiotensin-angiotensinogen
Hmm.
system. So like my papers focus on like why is it like African Americans, they are more predisposed to cardiovascular disease, and then what's the mechanism behind it, how RAAS played a role, and then how much of dietary or genetic factors play in. Yeah.
Very nice. And you said you had a few publications as a result of that research year?
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice. And conference presentations also, I would guess.
So the conference, I was in Malaysia, and then my school didn't sponsor, so
Okay.
I didn't go.
Okay. All right. All right. So, and how about U.S. clinical experience? When or how did you obtain that?
Well, so I applied to a lot of university clerkship program, but then got rejected. So then I switched my strategy to writing emails. I just look up on Frida website, and then copy the program coordinator's email, and then just send them emails and asking whether or not they accept kind of like clinical electives for IMDs, and then after sending like about 300 emails, I got a reply, and that's how I got my first USCE over
Okay.
in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very nice. And so, but this was a clinical rotation. This was like when you were still in med school. Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. So this was a hands-on experience, not like an
Yep.
observership.
No. It's hands-on.
Very nice. Okay. So you got that. Any other U.S. clinical experience that
So
you?
I got that. So that's like during my 4th year of medical school, and then right after I graduated, then I wrote to the same program again, and then this time I got for like audition rotation, and then so that's like 2 months, 1 month, 1 month, and then the other one is the NIH cardiology elective, which is also hands-on. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Great. So you did that. Now, so now you have all the research experience, the clinical experience, you have your scores. Let's focus on how did you choose which programs to apply to? So there are like thousands of internal medicine programs. How did you, what kind of strategy did you have to decide where you want to apply?
Well, so I googled like IMG friendly states,
Okay.
and then it came up New York, Philadelphia, Florida, and even Texas. So I applied like broadly to in New York, and then so the East Coast, just because I like Boston, and then so a lot on the east coast, and not really a lot on the west coast,
Mhm.
because it's really competitive over the west coast. So yeah, majority is just east coast.
Okay. So you looked for, so you just Google searched IMG friendly programs and IMG friendly states. Is that what you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
IMG friendly states, and then after I also put on filter on Freda,
Okay. Okay.
like how many percent of
Yeah.
IMDs they have in the program, and that one as well, and also what kind of visa they are sponsoring.
Yes.
For me, I prefer the H-1B visa,
Yeah.
so that's how I generated my list.
Very nice. So your criteria was, the percent of international medical graduates. That's great. And then location, kind of East Coast, like you mentioned. You had a little bit of familiarity, and you felt it was less competitive. So that's good. What about, I don't know, big city, small town? Did all that matter to you?
Well, initially, yes. That's why I picked New York, and then and then in hindsight, after factoring in all those living costs and having been live in New York for the one month and a half, then I changed my mind.
All right. Okay.
Because yeah, big cities are really fancy and exciting, but it's kind of expensive.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I initially started picking all those big cities, but then afterwards I switched to like any cities is fine.
Okay. Were you looking for programs that had fellowships because you were applying for telemedicine? Was that a preference for you or it didn't really matter?
For me, no, because I would like to go somewhere else, not like to spend 6 years in a row at the same place. So that doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And you saw about fellowship. Okay. Was now and was there any other criteria you think how I mean how you shortlisted from like thousands to I don't know how many programs did you apply to?
165.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great. And tell me about so how many interviews did you get from the 165 that you applied for?
Try to guess.
Okay. I would say like 15, 14, 15, 10, 15,
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And I'm going to assume it was all over the East Coast. Okay. All right. Um, how did you prepare for the interviews?
Well, so I look up YouTube, just yeah, YouTube like how to prepare for residency interviews. And I think the Kaplan, yeah, I used the Kaplan
Mhm.
interview videos,
Okay.
and they are somewhat useful.
Mm.
And I also try to Google like what kind of a typical interview questions, available out there, and also on AAMC website. But all this didn't really help a lot, I would say.
Mm.
I still think that the most important if you want to ace an interview is to practice it with someone else. Like to get someone to talk to you like day in, day out, and not just when you are, the day before interview,
Mhm.
just to try to get you mentally into that state. I
Right.
think that will help a lot.
I hear you. So, when you went for when you kind of lined up your interviews, did you just like grab the first interview that came to you, or were you like, okay, this program is not where I want to be. I'm going to use this as a
Uh,
practice. Did you use that any of those strategies? Or you?
initially, yes. I would say if you have the time, if you have the luxury of time, then do it. But for me, I want to go back to Malaysia as soon as possible, not to like lengthen my stay over here. So no, I just schedule that as closely as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if I got the luxury of time, I would have done that, which is very smart.
Excellent. Anything out of the interviews that you would like to share?
A question that puts me off. I didn't really recall because all those questions they are kind of typical, like as especially when they ask you research and then or a clinical case that you want to share or you think that it is interesting. And once you get a topic started, and then your interviewer will chip in, and then it just go with the flow like that. So yeah, once you get, I don't know how to say it, but the questions are very typical, and the secret, no, the best way for them to not ask you further confusing questions is just to get them hitch on an interesting topic, and then to continue talking about that for the next 10 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah, then you'll be fine for your interview. Yeah, like for example, I have this uh, paper on hypertension, and interestingly is that the professor also has some kind of a research interest in that area, so we talk a lot about this for like 10 minutes. And
Amazing.
as long as it is something engaging, meaningful, and you can present yourself in the best way possible, then you'll be fine. Yeah. And also some interviews that really got me quite confused is that
Mm.
they don't ask you question. I had
Yeah.
I had like 2 interviews like that. They just don't ask you much question at all. It's just you sitting down, sitting in front of them, and then they will just tell you everything about their program.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't know whether it is because that you don't know why they didn't ask you a question, and you want to perform, you want to try to like sell yourself, right? But then you didn't get a chance because they are all the ones talking. So
Absolutely.
I don't, in high, so looking at that, I still don't know like how to handle that kind of situation.
How do you decide to rank the programs?
I go by reputation. Yeah. because so because I want to get into fellowship, so I think that reputation still does count if you want to get into a better fellowship position. So I go by reputation. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Coming back to coming back to the part where when you were trying to decide which programs to apply to, besides Frida, and did you then go to every program's website to get some information and then decide whether you're going to apply there or not?
Yeah.
Wow.
So but then it's more like double checking the facts. Like on Freda, sometimes it's not updated, and so I will go to the website, every single one of them, to make sure they don't have additional criteria. Like because some of the program they will say you must have a minimum 2 months of clinical experience. Some will say like minimum 4 months, which is not under Freda. So that's why I just double check stuff
Yeah,
to make sure that I don't apply to others that I'm ineligible for.
I hear you. And so of the 1,000, I'm sure you must have gone through many, many websites for that. I don't know, did it take like a month or something?
Yeah. That whole month I just busy over all this stuff.
Yeah, because I do know that after, I don't know, like 30, 40, 50 programs, it's like, I don't know, like $25 for every program that you need to pay for. So I guess I'm pretty sure people need to be a little bit more selective
yeah.
after a certain number.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. So we're coming to the end of the interview. Let me ask you this: how do you foresee interviews and the match process will be changing this year because of the COVID?
That's actually the question that I want to ask you.
Uh-huh. Sure.
But then you got to ask it first. So okay, so I think it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really, really tough. I hate to say it, it's unfortunate, but I think the situation is really tough, especially for IMG. Although you don't have to travel,
Mhm.
but The best thing about direct interview is that it's different because when you talk face to face, you kind of like you can you get a feel of that person's charisma,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
As opposed to over the screen. So if let's say you are not like very strong on resume, but then you have a very good personal skill, you're very personable, and you have a good sense of humor, you know how to, you have a very good body language, the way you carry yourself, your confidence level, the way you walk into the door, engage with people, the way you talk, is all this counts as the whole part of interview experience. So with a Zoom meeting, with Zoom interviews, you just couldn't really shine in that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to be strong on your resume, your application, to get attention from the PD to secure an interview.
Right.
Right. Yeah.